Hey everybody. Let's see. Yeah, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Justin Cristelli, and I wrote a novel called DeVita, and premiering actually here at this year's MONSTERFEST. The first 4 chapters in this booklet, and right here it is
Michael McGowan. I've written a few books. I've had them published through a number of different ways. I'm working on sort of a mystery horror series right now with the Shadowlands is the first book in the series, and Empire Town is its follow-up. So right now I'm working on the 3rd book in the series.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Hi, and welcome aboard. And I'll just get started. Let's see. Yeah, what we wanted to talk to you guys about is actually writing your first novel and what it's actually like. And DeVita is my first novel, even though I've written graphic novels and screenplays. This is the first novel I've actually did. And to be honest, I was kind of afraid to write a novel for like years. I do short stories, and I attempted an X-Files novel a couple times, and I just couldn't get past the first 2 chapters. And back when they were trying to compete with Star Trek novels and doing their own novels, I was like, oh, let me try it. And it's terrible. And I've done graphic novels, and actually, my main choice is to be a comic book writer. I love to be a comic book writer, but getting started in business, I don't know if anybody is familiar, but God, you're a writer, you are in the back seat. To get published, you have to have an artist working with you, because if you write a great graphic novel, you only have half a book. And I came up with this vampire story that I was beginning to get really excited about. Like, oh, I was starting to get these ideas that I'd never really seen or read about in stories. Like, oh, why don't I put that in a story? And I was like realizing very soon that I was going to have to do this as a novel if I really wanted to get done. And I just did my best. And well, the thing was, you just can't be afraid. And I think what a lot of people do is when they try to write a novel and they get scared and they can't do it anymore, is they compare themselves way too much to really great authors and stuff like that. Oh, I can't be anywhere good as Stephen King or James Joyce or anybody like that. And you kill yourself. And what you should do is think more about authors you know you're better than, like Jackie Collins or Zane. I mean, I'm better than Zane. And Pam Anderson's written 3 books?
Well, I think you say that she actually wrote that.
I think so.
Okay.
Jenny McCarthy.
Well, I mean, I think she should get the credit of being able to work the spell check.
Yeah, no kidding. Jenny McCarthy's made a literary career just for the fact that she had a child. And, I can write better than that. So that's actually a big help. And just seeing work done. I remember I got the first 30 pages done, and I printed it out, and I held it. And I remember looking at it and going, I made this. This exists because of me. And
then it always is followed by the now what?
Yeah. My personal advice is to anybody wanting to try to write a novel, or at least know what gets into writing novels, is write what you know, but don't be afraid to experiment and write what you don't know. Wikipedia and various places to check them online. I did a lot of research on vampires. What's exciting is when you write vampires or something like vampires, you can pick and choose. You can cherry pick what people know and don't know, and work against it or work with it, and that's a lot of fun. And I think both you and I have done that. And let's see. And also you are your first reader. So write what you want to see in a story. Be excited, and just don't write what you think might work, or don't write what you think people might like, because you're just going to write crap. I mean, it's just always going to be boring and stale. And I know I've written boring and stale stuff and just threw it away. Write what excites you, and if it fits, if it makes you laugh, if it scares you, if it turns you on, if it disgusts you, it's in the book. It should be in the book. It should always stay in the book. And that's pretty much how I view writing a novel. Really, is you should just put what excites you.
I was thinking of it as a bit of a hamster wheel. The first book I ever wrote was actually a werewolf novel that I called Silver, and I remember had the idea somewhere right around 1993, and I started typing it down. And basically, I wrote it in 1993, 1994. I wrote it again in 1998, and I wrote it again in 2000. So this one book I wrote a total of 3 times, and before I ended up having it self-published. And each time, I mean, if you were to look at it each time, it changes, because I think I was at that stage where I was just kind of trying to find what my voice was going to be, where I wanted to go. And I think one of the things that helped me a lot is I write a lot of my stories that have like a supernatural element to it, but that's actually not my biggest interest in what I watch and what I read. I'm a huge fan of novelists like Richard Price, Dennis Lehane. I watch shows like Law and Order and The Wire. And I like to incorporate those elements of what I read and what I see into the stories, even in the stories where you wouldn't have to technically see that. The third time that I wrote Silver, I had actually just discovered authors like James Ellroy and Chuck Palahniuk, the guy who wrote Fight Club and Choke. And they really influenced me on my first few books. So it is really kind of a smorgasbord of learning different things from what you see and what you hear and what you read, and you start applying these as you take your ideas. And if I were to offer advice, it's just that don't let one genre box you in. I mean, you can learn a lot about. Again, I mentioned Richard Price, who is just a terrific author of character and dialogue. The books that he writes can teach you a lot about writing just about any kind of genre. So I wrote those, and then I've written a few other books since then. This series actually started, I got the inspiration for it back in 2000 when I actually saw the movie Minority Report. And I just thought it was such the stories have nothing to do with each other, but I thought Minority Report was such a perfect blend of taking 2 different genres and putting them together, a mystery genre, and in this case, a science fiction genre, that I thought it would be really cool to see kind of the same thing done with a mystery and a horror. So that's where the Shadowlands was born out of. And
I'm scared.
oh, we just got it started again. And that's where the Shadowlands was born out of. And then actually I wrote it as one huge story, but then we ended up having to kind of do a Kill Bill on it. So that's actually how I ended up with these two books. So, and right now I'm working on the 3rd.
That's actually how, kind of Kill Bill's kind of it's funny you say that, because when